On this episode, we will discuss how badly this crypto winter could affect everyone within the industry. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Assets of Value podcast. Today, on November the 18th, and every day, we connect to give an industry insider's perspective on crypto, Web3, and NFT topics. We are the founders of Assets of Value, a Web3 research organization. We aim to discuss, inform, and share opinions on the hottest Web3 topics. Our podcast is not to be taken as legal or financial advice. Abe, where do we start? Do you want to jump into the market first, or should we just dive into this crypto winter and its effects that it's having?
Let's take a look at the market chart first. I think Bitcoin is trading in the same range. That's 16.7k to 16.8k. And even if you check the charts, it's like flat. It's so flat, there's no volatility. And if there's a chance of upside due to all these Thanksgiving and Christmas, it's getting very limited by the fact that crypto winter is tightening and people are losing jobs right now. So that's the reality.
Let's unpack that straight into it. People are losing jobs within the industry. Now, there's been some catastrophic events this year, and the most recent one being FTX. But what's going on? Is it a liquidity issue? Is it where the industry has gotten big that now a lot more people have come into the industry, and this is the first crypto winter the masses are experiencing? Where do you think we are in terms of maturity of the ecosystem, and how long could this crypto winter last?
A great question, Sean. Let me answer that by starting with an incident that happened in 2021, October, I think. That's exactly 1 year before. Justin Bieber bought an ape for $1 million. And that marked the peak of the NFT market. And now I read in your report that it's worth less than $60,000. So that's how bad the market is affected right now. Everything is down and everything is going down. So how long this can last? To be honest, I don't have a clear deadline right now. And by the conventional wisdom and all these historical price actions, we should see a bull market in the range of 2024 end or 2025 beginning. So that's the timeline right now.
Okay, so you and I are within the crypto industry. We've got several clients that we work for. What's the sentiment in and amongst those organizations and teams themselves? What are you seeing?
The sentiment obviously is pretty negative right now because, first of all, these are all our businesses. Like our clients, they are running businesses, and the basic thing for a business to sustain is profit. In crypto winter, they are not generating profit. That's a fact. And when they are not generating profits, they'll be actively looking to cut losses. And people's remuneration, their payment, and the building costs, electricity, all these things will be the first in the list for them to save money. So when it happens, when the window gets elongated, people will be affected first.
So, to dive a little bit deeper, well, some of our clients have already begun laying off their staff and reducing their workforce. This is in line with sponsorship deals not coming in. It's the fact that crypto is on a downturn at the moment, and not that kind of money that was around is just simply not here anymore. So any organization that has a team on payroll, they are cutting back to kind of optimize their business and reduce their costs, as you mentioned. In terms of investors as well, the investor appetite seems to have gone away. I'm not sure whether that's a blanket statement across the industry, but investors who are wanting to back teams with their tools or their vision and their ideas, are those investors still around, or are they actually being a lot more risk averse now?
Well, I talk to some of the VCs on a daily basis, and they all hold a fund in the range of 200 million to 300 million. And what they told me is that they are not deploying capital. They are not investing in projects with tokens. Maybe if the project is offering them equity, they might consider investment. And the ticker size in the bull market was around 1 million to 2 million. And currently they are investing $50,000 to $100,000 maximum. So you see that the valuations have come down from the perspective of VCs, but projects they are launching with 100 million valuation and maybe 200 million. Some projects launch with 1 billion valuation also. This is happening, and this is very, very bad for the industry, because if there are no investors, how can these startups succeed? It's a long winter, it's been a long winter, and still we are expecting a longer winter.
It feels like it's just getting starting, to be honest. The charts are showing us that there's a potential another leg lower, and it could be flatlining with very minimal volatility for weeks on end. This could easily last a year. But as we've seen before, crypto is kind of the first asset class that kind of bounces back very quickly. And I'm surprised actually how well Bitcoin has held up in all this carnage and chaos. You're right about investors that are now offering or cutting much smaller checks from an investment perspective. But on the flip side, if someone's running an organization and a company, if they are running on low liquidity or need more cash in terms to bolster and deliver on their vision, those VCs are a bit more reluctant to give that extra funding. I mean, we've seen this with Metaplex, the NFT protocol on Solana, that's announced layoffs, and a number of Web3 companies in the last few months have been downsizing and um, reducing their workforce in essence. It's painful to see because our wider colleagues are also experiencing the same. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, we have to see this from a chronological perspective. Like after the first fall of Bitcoin, then we saw Luna crisis, then we saw 3AC, then we saw FTX, and now, most importantly, we are seeing the Genesis situation. It's pretty scary, to be honest, because Genesis has been one of the companies that's been around the space for long, and right now they seem to have a liquidity problem. They are trying to stop withdrawals or pause withdrawals of their clients for an indefinite period. We don't know how it lasts, how long it can last, but the situation, as you can see, is getting tighter and tighter, and we might be seeing some more pain from the market, because still institutions like MicroStrategy and even nations, they are buying Bitcoin still. So there's more pain to come, obviously.
So who is Genesis and why do we care? Why does it matter? Is it I know there was some exposure to FTX or is related to FTX in some way, but to unpack that a little bit, um, who are Genesis and why should we care? It feels like many companies were exposed to Genesis, and I think they provide crypto lending. Is that correct?
Yeah, you are right. Genesis is one of the biggest lenders in the space right now. And yeah, they started way back in 2013 or 2014, if I remember correctly, as an OTC solution, like over the counter solution for Bitcoin. And then they grow into a lending platform, like a centralized lending platform. And many of these customers, crypto users, have deposited their funds into Genesis and borrowed. And when it pauses, when a big organization like Genesis pauses withdrawals, it's a bit alarming, because I think it could affect the crypto even more than FTX situation, because FTX was a slow kill, right? People knew FTX is gonna fall like for 2 or 3 days in advance, but Genesis was completely out of the box and nobody expected it, to be honest. Yes, we knew that most of these centralized finance things are currently under threat of bankruptcy, but the Genesis situation, nobody did really expect it. So what's the problem? Genesis thinks that they don't have enough liquidity to pay out everyone, like every user. Why don't they have liquidity? Because I think Genesis has deeper connections with FTX and they might have deposited some of their user funds with FTX. And that explains everything, right? They don't have funds right now to pay out users. And when they don't have funds, they just pause withdrawals. A typical centralized thing to do.
Yeah, if we look at some of their figures in 2021 Q4, so literally 12 months ago, they were moving around 50 billion worth of USD in terms of loan origination. So they were lending out $50 billion by Q4 2021. Total active loans was around 12.5 billion, and the spot volume traded was around 30 billion, and derivatives value traded was around 20 billion. These numbers are absolutely huge from one organization. A recent snapshot has been taken in Q3 in 2022, so just last quarter. Loan originations has dropped to 8.4 billion. Total active loans is 2.8 billion. A drastic and massive change. But what's worrying for me is that when businesses need some cash flow, their first port of call is to lend their crypto out. Now, if Gemini positioned itself as a crypto lending firm, a lot of companies could be at risk. They've already paused their withdrawals. I just wonder how deep this could actually go.
Well, it can go pretty deep. I think they had a link with 3AC, and I think an outstanding of more than $1 billion with 3AC, and 3AC couldn't pay them because they filed for bankruptcy. So you're seeing 1 billion short in their funding, and at this point, we don't know how much their exposure with FTX is, how much their exposure with Alameda is. So these two companies, they basically lend with themselves. Like I read somewhere that FTX literally lent $3 billion to Alameda, and then Alameda literally lent more than $1.3 billion to SBF. So these are Ponzi's, right? These are Fugazis. That is the right word.
It does seem like they're charging in the front door and then completely taking it out the back door and then bringing it around again to the front door. It's amazing on what's going on. Many think that criminal charges could be served against SBF, and who knows how far it could be taken. But it is certainly sad to see that not only crypto being locked up for organizations, firms, and companies, but even the smaller retail trader who had their funds on exchanges such as FTX or were in yield pools or lending, and this ricochet and ripple effect is going to be pretty much affecting a lot of people. I mean, it's actually quite sad to hear our colleagues who have been dismissed or no longer in a job because of this downturn and mismanagement of funds from related or associated companies. I think we're beginning to see that ripple effect, but I don't know how far wide it can actually go.
Well, there's one more thing. I read somewhere that US economy has the biggest debt crisis since 1980s. That means credit card bills are overflowing right now and people do not have any means to pay their bills back. And we are closing down on the Christmas season. That means people might be looking to spend big since they don't have enough capital or enough liquidity or enough savings. They can't spend big or small, whatever the amount is. But if people are not spending in an economy, the economy will be shrinking day by day. And when the economy shrinks, there will be more debt crisis. So this is a death loop, right? Until the Fed do a nasty operation, that's Fed being pivoting, right? So unless they cut rates or cause the dollar to deflate, I think things will be getting really tough because since the Fed is not really looking to kill the economy, they'll be extending the pain for long. The best solution will be to kill the economy for 4 to 5 years, but that's cruel, right? Killing the economy means people will be losing jobs, people will be losing lives, and whatnot. So we hope the Fed won't come to that anytime soon.
Yes, it's unfortunate for anyone, those that are living from paycheck to paycheck. They could be really in for a tough and turbulent time. But enough of the negativity. I'm conscious that it's end of the week, it's Friday, we've got the weekend to be looking forward to. It's been a hell of a tough week, and we don't know how many more tough weeks are coming up ahead of us. Let's give some alpha. I'm going to start by saying that we did say in our earlier episodes regarding some NFT gems or NFT projects that we are eyeing up. My advice is don't buy NFTs right now. In the state of influx that's going on, you would be best suited to hold on to your liquid capital. For example, if you were going to drop half an ETH or zero point 0.1 ETH on a project now, that zero point 0.1 ETH could buy you something better in weeks to come. So there's no rush. I'm not giving an NFT call for any projects, but let's talk about small gem tokens. Anything that could spark an interest here for a good investment.
The same thing applies for crypto also. We are looking at a least volatile market, but even though I expect the market to bounce back a little, and when it happens, watch out for Cosmos. That's a big cap, but it can give you a nice gain. And then watch out for Matic because it has the most adoption from the Web2 world. And when crypto bounces back, Matic will pump hard. So watch out for Matic also. And when it comes to low cap gems, iFuse, that's the ticker is FUSE, Fuse. That's a payment solution provider. And it's pretty good because it's a layer one blockchain, which is EVM compatible. Look out for Fuse. And then there's another project which is a really good. That's GFI, Goldfinch Finance. That's also a lending or credit based protocol, and it's doing actual Web3 implementation and actual Web2 lending also. So these are the four projects I'll be watching out for, and just be sure that the last two projects, which are Fuse and GFI, they are extremely low cap and it can have massive volatility. So better be safe with your investments. Like only invest what you can afford to lose.
Fuse is currently trading at 6 cents, so 0.06, and Goldfinch trading at 0.66, so 66 cents at the moment. Alpha dropped for you as promised. Be careful in when you invest. Timing is everything, and risk management is everything. We promised that we were going to drop you some alpha. Hopefully, that's given you an indication for something to look forward to. As always, this has been super fun. I'm glad you were able to jam with us today. That's it. Until next time, thank you, everybody. Signing off.